afternoon. Welcome to Connections, and I'm your host, Pastor Kevin McGee of the Victory Temple Church of God in Christ. You're listening to us on IntellectualRadio.com. You can also listen to us on iHeartRadio. Connections is a show designed to keep you connected to the Christian community. So sit back and relax as we get connected. And if you wish to become a Connection sponsor, please reach out to me at bishop1915@gmail.com, or you can simply inbox me on Facebook. Nature Sunshine. Have you set weight loss goals for 2019? Would you like a natural approach to weight loss? Do you want to see and feel changes immediately? Do you take medication for high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, fibromyalgia, cancer, arthritis, or any other condition in your body? Do you have poor circulation, frequent colds, flu, or chronic fatigue? Or perhaps you just want to maintain a healthy body? Give Nature Sunshine a try. They have many products and plans that will assist you in losing weight or maintaining and improving your health the natural way. And reach out to them at 708-302-5655. The Bedrock Movement affirms safety, comfort, dignity, awareness, and empowerment for Chicagoland street homeless. For any internship needs for schools, community services mandated from the court, or you just want to volunteer assisting the street homeless, please call John Netherly at 773-567-5110. And today we have in the studio, we have a survivor, we have a warrior. I'm going to call you a warrior. And we have a superwoman. She's going to give us her story of this journey that she is on. And she goes by the name of Carly Butler. And we're so glad to have her here. I met her a little while back in October, I believe, of last year at Pastor Carly there's networking summit at the New Beginning North Shore Church in Evanston. And so met her. I saw a glimpse of her story, and I knew I had to have her here on Connections. And so those of you that's watching by way of Facebook Live, you can put any comments that you might have in the comment field, or if you want to call in, you can call in at 708-223-8953. That's 708-223-8953. Listen, she has a story. She has a testimony to tell. She is a warrior. She is a survivor. She is a superwoman. And so we're going to talk with Carly. So first of all, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Been trying to get you for a while.
I know. It's been a little hectic, but I'm here.
But we know that you are busy, and you have an awesome testimony, an awesome story to tell, and it's a story that everybody needs to hear. Everybody needs to see and to hear how tragedy turned into triumph. They need to see how you became the superwoman that you are. So first of all, before we get into all of that, give us a little background about who you are, where you grew up and all that good stuff.
Okay. My name is Carly Butler. I grew up on the north side of Chicago with lots of family in Evanston, Illinois. And now I currently live and work there. I'm now director of social services for a nonprofit organization. And so it was my trauma that kind of led me to the work of working with young people. And wow, I never thought that my story would bring me here to this space. I never thought that this would be my life. And I actually resisted for a while. But once I kind of let go and started sharing the story and really receiving my blessings, then my life changed.
Awesome. When I met you, like I said, it was at the networking event that Pastor Carl Adair had. And I was looking at your table, and I was just getting a glimpse of who you are. And I was like, oh, my God. I'm like, after all that she had gone through, I saw a young woman who she was not afraid to tell her story, to share what she had gone through. Because other people, when they go through the things that you've gone through, they close up. They just shut down. And they are not as vocal, because they don't want people to know what they've endured.
Yes.
But here you were putting yourself out there, letting people know exactly what you went through. So tell us about the experience, the horrific experience that instead of destroying you, turned you into a superwoman.
Well, just so you know, I was closed off and depressed and down at one point. I didn't want anyone to know what happened to me. But because I wear these scars, it kind of puts me in a position where people ask me. And so, if you have a scar that you can hide, you don't have to tell anybody. But because I wear these wear my past on my skin. Now I get to share my story. And so, ooh, it's a long story, but I've been wearing these scars now for 13 years. On March 15th, 2006, I was physically attacked in my parking garage. I was beat up by three guys, stuffed into the trunk of my car, and I was able to escape by jumping out of the trunk while the car was moving. So that was the first time I was attacked, and I came to find out that this was all because of someone I was dating at the time. He had been involved in some activities in the streets that he didn't make me privy to, so I didn't know what was happening. And unfortunately, that led to a second attack a couple months later, where I was visiting a cousin on the North Shore. And as I was walking to my car, two women approached me, held me at gunpoint, and assaulted me with acid. So I'm sure you can imagine how traumatic both of those incidents were. It was the second incident, though, that I suffered third degree full thickness burns to 30% of my body. And that's when I would spend time in the hospital and have to endure over a dozen surgeries.
Now, the offenders, were they ever caught?
So the first group of guys, there wasn't enough physical evidence to convict them of anything more than battery or charge them with anything more than battery. And so battery doesn't hold jail time. And so
Right.
I was so afraid that I did not show up in court for that. So those guys, I have no idea where they are in the world. There were two women who were involved in the second incident. One of them was convicted. She served a 12-year prison sentence, and she's released now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And what happened to the boyfriend?
Well, our relationship dissolved, excuse me, shortly thereafter because the more questions I asked him, the more deflecting he did, and it seemed like he was more his well-being than mine. Even though I was the only one that was harmed in the situation, and so we'd split and go our separate ways, and I'd recover, and I'd learned that in 2011 he was murdered.
Mm, okay, okay. We have some people that are chiming in.
Okay.
Taya Michelle Coven, the Sugar Baker. She
Hi.
said, "Hey, Carly."
Hey. Hey, girl.
Stephanie Williams, God bless you. Thank you for watching. So here you are. You've been attacked twice, and you mentioned that you went through a period of depression. You
Mm-hmm.
closed yourself off. And I'm gonna go a little off script here. So but here you are. At what point, or did you ever think in your mind, God, why am I still here?
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
and did you ever say, I don't want to be here?
Absolutely. I literally could not imagine a future for myself. I went to sleep one person and woke up somebody completely different. It was so shocking and so traumatizing. I didn't know what to do next. And I had never spent a single night in the hospital before. So to go from being physically well and confident and happy in my life to completely broken and spending 6.5 weeks not being able to care for myself, um, made me feel like I had no value. And I did. I asked God, I'm like, why me? Like, why? Like, I was so devastated by what happened that I kept reenacting, her throwing the acid on me in my head. Like, oh, I should have let her shoot me. Like, if I would have let her shoot me with that 22, I probably could have survived the bullet and I wouldn't be like this. And that's how like warped my mind was at that point. And it took a lot for me to get out of that space. I never ever want to go back there. I never would wish it on anyone. But what happened was over time, it was like, okay, I was getting my life back together, finding things that brought me joy, praying and just really relying on good people in my life. And then I started to say, okay, why not me? All right, I've endured this. I can get through this. And it was when I started sharing my story with other people where I was like, oh, okay, I might be helpful to somebody else. And that's where I find my purpose.
Okay. And so that leads me again. I'm off script for a minute
Oh,
because
go for it.
as you were talking, other questions come to mind. You mentioned that when people see the physical scars, it's an
Hmm.
identifier
Yes.
that you've gone through something. But what about the scars that are not evident? What about the invisible scars? How do you deal with the invisible scars?
So I'm still healing all the time. And I know that what happened to me um, will be with me forever. because trauma stays in the body, and so I just have to find ways to manage that. But to kind of heal myself and get whole again, I had to do lots of things. I had to, it definitely strengthened my faith in God, but I also had to seek mental health services. I needed to talk to a professional and work out, my PTSD, um, and just know that I'm not my circumstances, right? And I
Hmm.
think a lot of people walk around healing from something, but because no one else can see it, you have the option of not sharing. But I feel like the more we talk and share with each other, the more, it gives people hope and inspires them like, okay, if you went through it, I can get through that too. Thank
Right,
you.
right. So now, what type of support system did you have through all of this?
I had an amazing family. My family was the bomb. Like, never spent a single night alone in the hospital. I had my nana going to my court dates because I wasn't physically well enough. They represented me and they showed up and they showed out, and that made a huge difference. And I honestly don't know how I would have fared without them. And so I appreciate them very much. My dad too. My dad has been a consistent rock for me, and I'm thanking him all the time. And he supports me with what I do now. He's like, "Go
Awesome.
ahead, Car, tell the story."
Now, if your dad is like most dads that I know, to see his baby
Oh,
laying there,
oh,
he wants to go to their courtroom and take care of some business,
that was a whole nother issue. Okay, you
as
know,
well as other family members.
yeah. And the thing, it didn't just happen to me; it happened to them too. And I have to be respectful of their journey of healing, right? So my sister and my dad, they still want 5 minutes in a room with this lady, right? And I have to respect that. Not It's not the way that I would handle things, but I understand if someone did something to my child or to, one of them, I would be just as angry. And so I get it.
Well, and that's just natural reaction.
Right.
When your loved one is in pain or has been hurt, you start looking for the one who caused the pain,
Hmm.
the one who is responsible for the hurt. And any father, any parent, when they see their child in a place that's they're incapacitated and they are bruised and they're broken, oh, it's time. It's time to take care of some
Oh
business.
yes.
Uh,
And it
it's
was when I was in the hospital, actually. I think it was like the second night. I heard my dad crying in the nighttime. That broke my spirit because he's always the strong one. So he knew things were bad. And I felt for him. I felt his sadness in that moment.
and so tell us about your journey to recovery.
Okay.
Okay, because you leave the hospital,
Mhm.
you go through depression.
Mhm.
At what point does depression turn into a deliverance, or does the incapacitation turns into independence?
Well, I think I hit a rock bottom kind of space where I was looking around and everybody else was moving on with their life, right? I was harboring all of this anger and resentment. And instead of using that energy to do positive things for myself, I was just in a funk. And I just didn't want to live like that anymore. And one of the things that was helpful for me was I started exercising, I started running, right? And running, when you physically start doing it, it's a challenge, and that was a cathartic experience for me. I trained for a marathon, and that was a big goal. And then I would watch the news, and it was a reminder for me to be grateful because there were so many people who never made it back home, didn't get to share their story, didn't get to recover. Um, and I just I kept harboring all this resentment towards the lady. Her name is Nicole. Let me name her. She's a person. I was so mad at her. Like, that anger was eating me up on the inside. And so I knew that I needed to forgive myself, right, for the choices that I made. But I thought, man, I want to forgive her. And it was when I made that active decision that things started changing in my life.
Wow, wow. And so you said the two attacks were kind of related then,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Oh,
That
wow.
no one ever told on the other person. They haven't been able to put it all together. But acid attacks are very personal, right? And those kinds of things just don't happen two
Right,
times,
right.
right? And so I'm left now living my life with lots of unanswered questions. And I've just had to be okay with that. So my destiny isn't tied to those people.
And I can't even imagine, first of all, the first attack being beat and stuffed in a trunk
Mhm.
because you don't know what's going to happen. You have an idea. So, and you escape through the trunk, while the car was moving.
Yes.
That was phenomenal there. Because I mean, you went into that adrenaline and started pumping, fight or flight, and you're trying to flee out
I
of
was
there.
trying to flee. And let me tell you this, my mom passed away in 2005. This was a year before this happened to me. Okay. When I tell you I was in the trunk and I heard my mom say, "Carl, you better get up out there." She is forever one of my guardian angels. Hearing her voice prompted me to just go and do it. And I always share that story because somebody else was looking out for me.
Awesome, awesome. I'm loving your testimony. I'm loving the triumph that has come from the testimony because what you're saying is helping someone. Um, Unfortunately, when it comes to relationships, we don't always know what the person we're in a relationship
Mm-mm.
with is doing because they're not going to share all of their business. But there are some indicators that we might need to start watching if they've been a little elusive in certain areas,
Yes,
or they have some friends that you just don't know and you're in a relationship with them. Okay, you need to start asking some questions.
absolutely. And so I take responsibility for not asking some of those questions. It was like, if I don't know, it won't hurt me. And what I didn't know almost killed me.
Right. And so I tell anybody this, and when I'm counseling, when I'm telling people about relationships or what have you, you have to know that individual. Ask God to give you some insight.
Yes.
And see, here's the thing. A lot of times we don't want to ask God, or we don't even ask our parents, because you know what? They might say, leave him,
Yeah.
leave her. And we don't want to do that,
And we don't want to do that,
but
right?
I love him. Or, I got this. I know what I'm doing. We
Yeah.
say that. But see, because many times God, if we listen to his voice, it'll save us a lot of heartache.
Absolutely.
We've been in a relationship for 5 years when if we listen to God, we wouldn't even spend 5 minutes. The Lord would
Yes.
say, run.
And I will never, my mom didn't really care for this guy, and she was trying to let me navigate my own way through this relationship. So she never said, I hate him. She said, just keep it light with him, have fun.
Exactly.
Um,
But when you're young, your emotions are no, that's not necessarily young either.
but
But
those rose-colored glasses,
rose-colored glasses,
you're in love and
and everybody's in love, and and I've been there. But we really, especially in this day and time, we have to be more careful
Mhm.
and listen to the voice of the Lord. That's something. We get deep when it comes to relationship. Now you want to bring the Lord into a relationship. But honestly, the Bible says, in all your ways, acknowledge him, and
Mhm.
he will direct our path.
Mhm.
So we have to understand that. Um, and speaking of that, how has your faith helped you to get through all of this?
Well, I mean, I love God. God has blessed me in so many ways, and I know that when I came in here, there was a song playing, and I think it was the pastor who said, "If God did it for me, He can do it for you." And so I didn't know that this was going to be my life. I had no idea. And so now the plan that I thought I had has been so different, but I'm so happy and so fulfilled that I wouldn't change a single thing. All of these things had to happen to me to bring me where I am. And so I thank God every day. I'm grateful for everything. And I encourage people who are going through hard times. Ooh, to just hold on and know that joy comes in the morning. It does not last forever.
Awesome, awesome. Listen, what we want to do, want to take a quick break. Um, Earl, if you can play that song that was played for the intro when she came in. Oh, I think that's Pastor Romanus. I'm trying to remember which number it was. 'Cause that's the song I think was playing when you came in. We used that. Is that it?
No,
No, the slower one.
he was
The
talking.
slow. There you right there. That's the one. We'll be right back on Connections on IntellectualRadio.com.
On you I can rely on. On you I can depend on you, Lord. On you I can count on. On you I can call on. When the enemy attacks me with death, on you is where my safety rests. None other can do the things that you do. That's why I rely, depend, and count, and call on you. On you I can rely on. Lord, on you I can depend on you I can count on you. On you I can call on. Failing is the only thing that you cannot do. You never fail to come through because you're failure proof. No one can do the things that you do. That's why I rely, depend, and count, and call on you. You can heal sickness and
Welcome back to Connections on IntellectualRadio.com. We're sitting here with Carly Butler, and she is talking about her journey from tragedy to triumph. She is a real life superwoman because what did not break her made her stronger. And so we're just so grateful to know that God has directed her in a path where she is able to use her story to help others. And so we just thank God. And we were just sitting here and we were just talking about the young ladies. One has been released and the other got off on a technicality or something like
Yes.
that. See, I'm just, keeping it real, whether we're saved or not, whether we're in the church or not. Somebody getting off on a technicality. Oh, in our mind, we're like, okay, something needs to happen to that person because they're free to do it again. But nevertheless, we're grateful that the Lord spared you and allowed you to be where you are today. And so let's talk about the organization that you're a part of.
So
Give us a little insight on that.
yeah, I'm director of social services for a nonprofit organization. It's called Kurt's Cafe. And I have the privilege of working with youth between the ages of 14 and 24 who had either had trouble getting a job or keeping a job. And so I kind of walk with them and help identify some of the barriers that they're facing around, homelessness, food instability, if they have experienced sexual trauma, unaddressed mental health issues, just a range of things, and just try to help them kind of build up the resources, identify the resources they do have, but kind of build them up so that they can go off and do something bigger and better and be successful. And
Awesome.
so, yeah, it's amazing.
And how long have you been doing that?
So I've been with the organization for almost 3 years.
Cool.
And hope to always work with young people in some capacity.
Awesome. One thing you will be great at is mentorship for young ladies. You will be great at that because, again, when you're dealing with the young people, you have to have a story to tell so that they can identify with. They can say, "You're not just an adult just trying to, tell us a prescribed,
tell me what to do, right.
Give us a script." But you've been where some of us are right now. If you've never been homeless, it's really hard to talk to a person who is homeless.
Right.
If you've never been addicted to drug, it's hard to talk to a drug addict, and to encourage them. You can tell them from what what but when they hear from someone who's been there and have made it, so now to suffer trauma,
Hmm.
you are the right person to be able to talk to young people who are going through trauma in their lives, be it sexual trauma, be it addiction, whatever it is. You can let them know, hey, you can make it, whether it's parental abuse or any form of abuse. You have been there. You have your own story, and that you can reach out to them and they can identify with you. And so we just thank God for you. Again, a shout out to those that watch it on Facebook Live. Carol Jones, Ebony
Hi.
Patterson,
Oh, right here.
Angela Ross Bronson, Mary, hey Mary, Elizabeth, Pastor Carla, and First Lady Angela Adair. God bless you.
Hi.
Good to see you. Listen, if anybody want to call in, feel free to call in at 708-223-8953. If you want to give a shout out to Carly, you want to ask her a question about going through the trauma that she's gone through and just how she made it. Again, call in 708-223-8953. And so uh, there are others that are chiming in, but God bless everybody that's coming online. Charlotte, Wiley, Alexander, God bless you. Um, yeah, so we have quite a few people watching. So um, let's look at let's go back to family.
Hmm.
Okay, you mentioned you have a sister.
I have two sisters.
You have
Yep.
two
Two
sisters,
sisters.
and are you the youngest or the oldest?
I'm the oldest.
So now, when they look at you as their older sister, are they looking at you as a hero, as a superwoman? Are they coming to you for advice, or are they
Um,
trying to be the protector and baby you, and
a little bit of both, actually. My younger sisters are both very protective of me, because of what I've experienced. And so even when we go out in public, if people stare at me, they're like, "Excuse me, do you have a problem?" It doesn't bother me now. I'm like, "Oh, it's no big deal," but I understand. And
now and I'm gonna keep it on the real side now. Now I'm gonna see, Earl, and you can go with me with this. Are the guys still trying to holler at you?
the guys are still trying to holler at me. I have never had a problem getting a date. So that's one thing that I think people are most curious about. Now I've definitely had to be more discerning, but yes, I've never had a problem with that.
Because, and the reason why I say this, because all of this stem from a relational type of issue.
Mm.
How are you when you view future relationships? Are you? I'm sure you're very closely guarded. You're on your P's and Q's. But now, what will be that determining factor that if this is a person that you want to be in a relationship with?
So definitely learning and growing in that area. But just paying attention to how they treat people, how they show up in the world, what kind of activities they're involved in. Do they believe in God? What their relationship is like with their family. I'm definitely learning to be more discerning. And I also have a 7-year-old, so I have to be protective of my child. And so, yeah, I really want to make smart decisions around building a relationship with someone. Definitely equally yoked as well.
Definitely. Pastor Carl says Carly has the keys to deliver thousands.
Hey, thank you. I received that.
Stephanie Williams says just beautiful testimony of survival. God bless you. Ronald Harris is watching. And because I know when people see you, they're looking at a woman who's been through something. And then you might have, and so you have some women, they're gonna look at you like, oh wow, she's my new shero. You know, then you
Mhm.
have the guys looking at, the guys gonna be keeping ready, like, okay, yeah, she got scars, but girl is fine. So they're gonna say that. And so now you're gonna have some knucklehead that's gonna be like, I just want to get close to her. I just want to know her. I just want to, just see if we can have something. But listen, fellas, you're gonna have to come correct now.
Correct. I
You,
gotta protect my space, my
she
energy.
she's got to protect herself. She got two sisters that's gonna protect her. She got a daddy that's gonna protect her, and she's got God that's gonna protect her.
Yes.
So, you got to come correct. And the first key is you got to love God.
Yes,
You got to
yes,
love God, and you got to be real,
yes.
you know, and
I appreciate honesty and
honesty.
integrity.
You got to just come with everything. And uh, brothers who's always on the text and always on the phone and corners need not apply. Amen. All right. So when you look in the mirror, when you
Hmm.
see Carly
Hmm.
today
Yes.
in the mirror, what do you see?
I see someone who is passionate about life. Um, I focus less on. I mean, I care about my physical appearance, obviously, but um, more concerned about my health. So I exercise. I try to eat right. I care about the relationships that I cultivate with people. Um, I'm happy with who I am. And so that doesn't mean that I'm exactly where I want to be or I don't have but my own problems. It means that I'm on this journey and I'm just enjoying every moment of it and I'm moving at my own pace.
And your attitude is what's remarkable because what you just said, that I am happy with who I am. And I might not have everything, or everything might not be the way I want it to be, but I'm happy with who I am. Because so many people, when they've gone through tragedy, when they've gone through trauma, they the biggest person that they put down is themselves.
Mhm.
They cannot accept who they are now because
Yes.
they're focused on who they used to be.
Right, and that comparison is the killer of joy. It will dampen your spirit every time. So you got to work from where you are and look ahead.
And that's what I love about you, because you have embraced life and you're living life like the song says, you're living your best life
I'm
now.
trying to live my
You're
best
trying to live
life.
your best life.
Yes, when you
You're moving
almost
forward.
die, it does something to you. You just want to be happy and joyful and do things that you love and walk in your purpose. I'm not letting small things bother me anymore.
And you just said another thing. When you almost die, it should change your perspective on
Hmm.
life. And again, to see you have that what is called the bounce back spirit. You know, if you look at a palm tree in Florida or California,
Hmm.
no matter how hard the wind blows and that palm tree bends,
Oh,
it
interesting.
always bounces back because it never breaks. And so you are that palm tree. What the enemy thought was going to break you, you just simply bounced back.
Mm.
It didn't break you. You didn't roll over and die. You didn't roll over. Yeah, you had your moment of depression, which is natural for everybody. But at the end of the day, you bounce back and you're stronger for it. And so we applaud you on that, because
Thank you.
everybody doesn't have that. And see, this is why we need individuals such as you to share their story, because there are thousands of individuals out there who are going through similar stories
Mm.
and they don't know what to do. They're lost. They're locked in their own prison,
Yes, that
and and,
happens.
and they just
And I know you keep saying my story is unique, right? But I think where I found my power is in sharing it. And so you don't know the power of your story until you share it. And so I'm sure there are, thousands of women who've been through something where if they just shared it with somebody else, they would impact someone else's life.
exactly. The Bible says that we are overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony.
Mm.
When we give our testimony, we're setting someone free.
Yes.
We are liberating someone through our testimony. Amen. Uh, you mentioned you were able to forgive the one young lady.
Yes.
Have you been able to forgive everybody, all the young men, the
I have
boyfriend, and
I've
everybody?
forgiven everybody. I mean, I can't hold on to that. It does nothing for me. It does nothing. It doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help the situation. It doesn't change it. I honestly wish the best for all of them. I used to have this spirit of vengeance, right? I want something just as bad to happen to them. But when you put out that kind of negative thought and energy, that's what comes back and cycles into your life. And so I'm good. I'm thankful. Sometimes I do wonder, like, does she see the ways that she changed my life and how things have kind of evolved? I think about that sometimes, but I still wish the absolute best for her.
You're good. You good? Because a lot of us be like, Lord, strike them dead.
I'm not gonna say I didn't have those thoughts in the beginning now. And it took a while for
But
me
you
to
have to
get
grow
to
to
this.
that.
Yes, you
You
have
have
to
to grow
grow
to
to
that.
that.
And you have to allow yourself to grow.
Yes. And focus more on yourself than other people, because you can't control other people, but you can control what's happening with you.
Listen, if Jesus could be on the cross and while they were crucifying him, he said, Father, forgive them, for
Mm,
they know not what they do.
mm, mm.
We ought to be able to forgive anything that is done to us. We know some things are just detrimental, some things are, but at some point in our life, we ought to be able to look back and say, okay, I forgive them, not necessarily to release them from what they've done,
Yes.
but to release myself
Right.
from harboring all of that because I'm moving on.
Exactly.
And what they did to me, the evil that they worked against me, God turned it around for my good. And so that's what we have to look at. Forgiveness is really not about the individual, it's about you
Hmm.
so that you can move on.
Yes.
The individual still has a penalty or a punishment that they have to endure.
Hmm.
They have some reaping to do. But you, when you let it go, you release yourself from the burden and the pressure of always trying to hold that in. Yeah, wonder what they're doing. Are they enjoying their life? And I'm still stuck here like
Right.
this.
And all that, you spend so much time thinking about them, you could be doing positive things for yourself.
Exactly. And I don't have enough time to be thinking about somebody that,
Might not be thinking about you.
they're not thinking about me, and really they don't matter.
Yes.
They don't matter. Um, in your role as a superwoman, what help can you offer to someone who may be in similar situations that you were in? What
I,
advice would you give?
man, I would say you really have to feel it. Go through it. Don't try to mask it or skip over the hard part. You got to really go through that part so you can get to the other side. I would say you've got to get connected to God or whatever your spiritual source is, and just really lean on that and know that God will never leave you nor forsake you. And so just having faith that things will get better. You have to believe it in order for it to happen. I would say get you a good support system. Identify the people in your life who are there for you, supportive, and really let them help you get through it. What else? Set some short term and some long term goals. When you have something else to focus on, then that takes away the energy and the power of whatever it is that you're going through. And then as you accomplish those things, it helps build up your self esteem again. So you're getting your life back on track. Yeah, just know that, man, there's a better day tomorrow. You're still alive. You got something to celebrate. You're still here. Okay.
Exactly. And what I found wonderful about you is that I was looking at your Facebook page and I saw the pictures of you in the hospital.
Mm,
I said she shared probably the most personal pictures that she could ever have with the world. Just I'm like, oh my gosh, she went through all of this, and I said, look at her now, and I'm sure that was part of the healing process, just being able to
absolutely.
just let it become totally transparent.
Yes, being transparent is helpful. And so, yes, I am. It's like I'm almost forced to kind of tell a secret about myself, but that's so freeing. I don't have to walk around pretending like it didn't happen to me. And because a lot of people pretend, and I don't want to live like that. And seeing those pictures now is shocking to me sometimes. I'm like, oh my goodness, that was a terrible time. But sometimes when people see me, they're like, oh, it's not that bad. I'm like, oh, it was bad. It was real, real bad.
Hmm. They're trying to comfort you. And
Right.
I was there. I know how bad it is. Now, when people come up to you, do they come to you like when they're talking to you? They're talking normal. Then when they find out information, they go in hushed tones, like, okay, so like it's like no one else is supposed to know, or are they trying to fish information out of you? Or are they trying to say
It
well,
depends.
what exactly was he involved in?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People are nosy. People want to know, and that's fine. It really depends on my relationship with people or how they approach me. Like some people are like, "What happened to your face?" I'm like, "Oh, you don't even want to know my name? Okay." Like, "Hi, I'm Carly. Nice to meet you." Um,
They really come up there and ask you that? What happened to your
yes,
face?
some people have no tact at all, and grown folks. And so I've had to control my emotions when I respond to people. But I love talking to kids. Always. I love talking to kids about my scars because they're just so sweet and just so curious.
And you had, I remember on your table, it was I can't remember the title. So it was talking about scar. What is the saying about your scars? What is it? It's
Um,
I can't. Oh man, I can't even remember what I saw, but it was profound
oh,
to me.
if these scars could talk,
If these scars to talk could
if
talk.
these scars could talk, right? Because it's a talking piece. Like, what would your tell me about a scar that you have and what happened? Tell me about the experience. We all have something, and so that might be a way for people to start having conversation to share some of the things that they've been through.
Yeah, because most people don't want to talk about their scars.
Right.
They
No,
they try to hide their scars. I have a scar on my arm that I I first got when I was 7 years old. And so you know how kids are in school.
Mhm.
They see the scar, everybody, what's that on your arm?
Mhm.
So for years, I would never wear a short sleeve shirt. It could be 90 degrees. I'm gonna be in a long sleeve shirt because I did not want people to see the scar on my arm.
Yes.
And I did that from all the way from grammar school up into high school. The only time they ever saw me with a short sleeve shirt was my gym uniform. And if I did have a short sleeve shirt on, I had a jacket on,
Mhm.
all the way through high school up into college because I just did not want people to ask about the scar. And it wasn't until I think I must have, I just either didn't care or just got really hot.
One is right. You got to get to one
I'm
of
like,
those
hey,
points.
you know what? It doesn't
It
matter
doesn't
anymore.
matter.
And so then people would see that, oh, what happened there? And then I would say, you know what? I was 7 years old and this happened. I went through a glass door, cut my arm up, and oh, okay. But as a kid, no, I didn't want to share that because it was an ugly scar that was on my arm, and I just wanted to hide it.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
personal.
that's how most people are.
Yeah.
They just want to hide it. They don't want to be reminded of what they had to go through.
Yes, that's
But that's a
another
part of
thing.
you.
That's another thing is having to tell the story over and over again. There are times I feel disconnected from what happened to me because I share it so much, and so I have to come back like, oh my goodness, this really happened to me, not somebody on the news, not somebody I heard about, and that sometimes is mind blowing.
Mhm. Now you mentioned you have a 7-year-old son.
Mhm.
So now, has he ever asked you, "Mommy, what's wrong? What happened?
Yes.
what? How did you? Have you told him the story,
I've
or
told him the story. So my son, he is so loving and so compassionate. And so I knew that there was going to be a time where we had to have this conversation. And early, even when he was little, he noticed my scars when he was very little. He would run his hands across my face. And it was when we would go to the park though, when other little kids are like, "Oh, what happened? What happened?" And so I made the mistake of saying in front of him when he was little that I had gotten into a car accident. One little girl was like, "Was it a fiery crash?" She just had a million questions, and I was just like going on with it. And so over time, my son would hear me do interviews. He's seen videos. And he was like, "You told me a story. We don't keep secrets." And so he's like, "You told me a story. You kept a secret." And that's when I had to tell him what really happened to me in the most developmentally appropriate way possible. So he knows now. And I think what that has done for him is it's helped him to be more compassionate towards other people who look different or who are
Mhm.
different. And that's exactly how I want him to be.
and he's gonna grow up protecting his mama?
Oh yes. he is protective. I love him.
That's good because certainly at that age, other kids are gonna ask, "What happened to your mama?" And
And we've
so,
already talked about roasting. They do all kind of.
hmm
I'm like, none of those roasts hurt me. I can help you come up with some better ones.
yeah, just like when we used to play the dozens, talk
Yeah,
about your
yeah.
mama, because kids still do that today.
They do.
But you can come up with some better ones for him.
Yeah, just no biggie.
But we just thank God for you being able to come out and share your story. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, a church family, or your family, your natural family?
Yeah, wow, just everybody who's listening. I love Pastor Carl and Angela Dare. They have been so supportive of me, and they always say such positive things and wish me well, and I appreciate them. Um, I know my dad is not listening, but I always like to acknowledge my dad and my sisters and just everybody who's encouraged me to keep going. Like, I don't know, like just by me, I used to feel self-conscious about speaking and sharing and just being grateful and showing my great gratitude for receiving awards and opportunities like this. But shoot, my grandmother told me, stop blocking your blessings. Take it, accept it, receive it. So I am. And it just keeps coming, and I'm grateful.
And there are going to be so many doors that will open because of your testimony. People are going to want you to come in, going to want you to share your story, because there are a lot of people out there hurting, male and female. They're
Hmm.
going through. And so they're going to want to hear from you because you've been through it and you have that bounce back spirit. And speaking of Pastor Carl just asked for the call in number, so he might be trying to call
Oh,
in.
you might call in. Okay.
But he, Pastor Carl and Lady A, they're two of my best friends. And so, you know, I thank them for having the networking summit. So I've been able to reach out and meet so many different people. And
Yeah.
so I've had the Sugar Baker on the show. Now I have you,
Yes.
and I got a few more of his people to have on the show. But again, um, you being able to take time out of your schedule to come on the show to tell your story, this is just the beginning for you. This is just the beginning
Thank you. Thank you.
because um, you. You do have a story to tell, and so we just thank God for you again. All of you that's listening, those of you just now coming on, yeah, go back to the beginning and listen to her story. And she's an awesome, phenomenal woman, and she's gone through some things, but it made her stronger. Like Marvin Sapp saying, "Never would have made it."
Mm.
I'm stronger, I'm wiser, I'm better, much better. And so we just thank God for how the Lord has blessed her and He's prospering her and made her stronger than she was before. Because I'm sure you did before all of this happened, you didn't know you were this strong.
I had no idea. Like you don't know until you're there.
And you're probably a fighter now too. And
Oh yes.
in both naturally and spiritually. 'Cause but again, kudos to you. Kudos to your uh, embracing life and trying your best to live the best life. Because
you.
what you are doing, you are exemplifying being triumphant in Christ. You're like the phoenix that rise from the ashes.
Love the
You
feelings.
know, and you died, but you rose again.
Mhm.
Just like Christ, He died, but He rose again. And when He rose again, He was better.
Better.
And so you're better because you have come up from the ashes. And what they thought was going to kill you actually built you.
And who
And
knew?
so we just thank God for what the Lord has done in your life. Thank God for you that's watching. Listen, tune in to Connections every Saturday. Oh, somebody's calling in. It's too late. But tune in to Connections every Saturday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. Right here on IntellectualRadio.com. And if you're not busy, come visit us in the Broadview area every Sunday morning from 8 o'clock a.m. to 9:30 a.m. at the Victory Temple Church of God in Christ, 2000 West Roosevelt Road. We're located inside the Community Presbyterian Church building. And actually, coincidentally, tomorrow's message is It Did Not Break Me, but It Built Me. God bless you. See you next Saturday on Connections on IntellectualRadio.com.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Can rely on you. I can depend on you, Lord. On you, I can